If you could see into the future, would you? Well, I'm not so sure it's a choice. The world is currently experiencing a major machine learning revolution, with generative AI technologies like ChatGPT making headlines. Mainstream press often overlooks the rapid and startling progress surrounding the field of quantum computing as well. Quantum computers utilizing quantum mechanical effects and qubits instead of traditional bits have the capability to solve problems at a much faster rate than conventional computers. Quantum computing is complex, and despite what some people think, it is a real-world phenomenon that is advancing very, very swiftly. It involves the manipulation of quantum bits, which results in the allowance of unprecedented computational power. The development of this technology is not a mere science fiction concept, but an actual occurrence. Baba Vanga is said to have foreseen a breakthrough in quantum computing during our time. If this prediction materializes in 2024, it has the potential to significantly accelerate the ongoing AI revolution, impacting people worldwide. Research in quantum computing corroborates the potential for revolutionary advancements. Companies and research institutions globally are investing heavily in quantum technology, aiming to harness its power for solving complex problems in various fields. The integration of quantum computing with AI could also lead to unprecedented breakthroughs, as both technologies continue to evolve far too quickly in my opinion. Alongside this prediction, Baba Vanga also foresaw an increase in cyber attacks. The prophecy suggests that hackers with advanced skills will target crucial infrastructure, including water treatment facilities and electricity grids, posing a threat to national security. This aligns with the growing concerns in cybersecurity as technology advances, making critical systems more susceptible to sophisticated cyber threats. As the world witnesses the convergence of quantum computing and artificial intelligence, the predictions made by Baba Vanga gain attention, prompting reflection on the potential implications for global cybersecurity. The anticipation of an accelerated AI revolution and heightened cyber threats underscores the need for robust security measures to safeguard critical infrastructure and ensure the responsible development and deployment of these transformative technologies, especially with the new advanced technology that we are going to be seeing in the near future. Number 4. An economic crisis. This one is by far the scariest on the list. Money, debt, financial crises. Baba Vanga predicted that the world economy would face a severe crisis triggered by factors such as escalating debt levels and heightened geopolitical conflicts. Research indicates that the global economic landscape is indeed facing challenges, with these elements contributing to concerns about economic stability. Current data shows a significant increase in global debt levels. According to the International Monetary Fund, the world's total debt reached a record high of $281 trillion in 2021. High debt levels constrain economies, limiting their ability to respond to economic downturns and increasing the risk of financial crises. And no matter how many times people explain global debt to me, I will never understand it. Who is the earth in debt to? Like, yeah, governments and large corporations, but that's all their debt. I don't know why it has to affect me. I didn't spend it. Geopolitical conflicts are also impacting the world economy. Ongoing tensions between major global players contribute to uncertainty in international markets. Trade disputes, sanctions, and geopolitical unrest can disrupt global supply chains, affecting businesses and causing huge fluctuations in financial markets. The prediction aligns with the real-world economic challenges as countries grapple with the aftermath of worldwide events. The most recent event has led to economic contractions, job losses, and disruptions in various industries. Efforts to recover have been hindered by increasing debt burdens and geopolitical tensions. The interconnectedness of the global economy means that isolated events in one region can have widespread repercussions. Geopolitical conflicts such as trade wars or territorial disputes can lead to economic sanctions and impact the flow of goods and services between nations. The World Economic Outlook report by the IMF emphasizes the need for coordinated international efforts to address economic challenges. It highlights the importance of resolving trade tensions and fostering cooperation to promote sustainable economic growth. Number 3. Bioweapon deployment and designer humans. Baba Vanga is credited with an unsettling and disconcerting prediction involving a big country conducting biological weapon tests or attacks. The use of biological weapons is a grave concern with potential catastrophic consequences. Extensive research indicates that various countries have historically explored biological warfare capabilities, raising international apprehension about the ethical and security implications of such actions. Another prediction attributed attributed to Baba Vanga reaches into the realm of human reproduction and genetic manipulation. The notion of humans being grown and born in laboratories sparks contemplation about the future of genetic engineering and its potential impact on childbirth. While the precise specifics of Baba Vanga's vision remain unclear, advancements in genetic testing, IVF, and childbirth technologies are major subjects of ongoing scientific exploration. Current research confirms that genetic testing is rapidly advancing, offering insights into potential health risks and allowing for more informed family planning decisions. IVF continues to evolve, providing hope and happiness for couples facing fertility challenges. While the idea of designing humans to specific parental specifications may be more speculative, the field of genetic engineering is progressing and it is prompting ethical discussions and considerations about the potential societal implications of manipulating human genetics. Now, when it says ethical, that's a pretty loose term because designer humans would be the downfall of humans. While the creation of humans in laboratories may seem far-fetched, the accelerating pace of scientific discovery invites contemplation about the ethical boundaries and societal impacts of emerging technologies. In the coming years, the convergence of genetic research, reproductive technologies, and ethical considerations may reshape how humans approach childbirth. While the specific details, again, of Baba Vanga's predictions may not materialize exactly as described, the broader themes highlight the potential for significant transformations in the fields of genetics and reproductive science. Society's response to these advancements will likely be shaped by ongoing debates surrounding ethics, privacy, and the responsible use of emerging technologies. Just a small tangent as to why I don't think genetically modified humans are a good idea. Okay, could you imagine the superiority? It would actually allow people to create like a master race, and they would be able to justify the new race's superiority by their genetic tinkering, because they would literally be built to emanate perfection. It's no. Number 2, orbit alteration. Baba Vanga made predictions about astronomical events beyond solar flares. Among her long list of predictions is the claim that Earth's orbit will undergo a significant alteration. Scientifically, the orbits of celestial bodies in the solar system are influenced by gravitational forces, primarily forces from the sun. While minor fluctuations are expected and accounted for over time, substantial alterations to Earth's orbit would have giant consequences. Research into the astrophysics indicates that celestial bodies, including Earth, experience gravitational interactions with other objects in the solar system. These interactions, however, typically result in gradual changes to orbits that occur over extended periods of time. The idea of a sudden and radical alteration to Earth's orbit raises a plethora of concerns surrounding potential catastrophic outcomes. Climate disruption is one consequence of a significant change in Earth's orbit. The Earth's distance from the sun affects its climate, and any abrupt shift could lead to unpredictable weather patterns, altered seasons, and disruptions to the ecosystem. Such changes would have cascading effects on agriculture, water resources, and overall environmental stability. Another consequence would be an increase in radiation levels. The Earth's position in its orbit plays a very important role in shielding it from the bulk of the sun's radiation. A sudden alteration would expose the planet to higher levels of solar radiation, posing risks to living organisms and impacting technological systems. Elevated radiation levels have the potential to harm human health, damage electronic equipment, and interfere with communication systems. And we love our electronic equipment, so I think there would be some upset. An altered orbit also introduces the possibility of, well, widespread chaos. The interconnectedness of global systems, including transportation, communication, and energy infrastructure, means that any significant disruption could have cascading effects on societies worldwide. The abrupt nature of such an unexpected event would likely limit humanity's ability to adapt accordingly and mitigate the consequences. While scientific understanding affirms that gravitational forces can influence orbits, the idea of a sudden and extreme alteration remains speculative. Number 1. Drastic weather events. Baba Vanga predicted that the world would experience severe weather events and natural disasters in the near future. Current research on the world's environmental state supports this, especially when we are met with the reality of increasing frequency and intensity of such incidents. Climate change is a significant and honestly the leading factor contributing to extreme weather events. According to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC, there's clear evidence that human activities such as burning fossil fuels and deforestation are causing global temperatures to rise. Crazy! This warming contributes to more frequent and severe weather events, including hurricanes, wildfires, floods, and heat waves. In recent years, various regions of the world have witnessed devastating natural disasters. The United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction reported that the number of weather-related disasters has more than doubled doubled over the past 40 years. These disasters would include hurricanes like Katrina and Harvey, wildfires in Australia and California, and floods affecting South Asia and Europe. Baba Vanga's prediction aligns with the scientific consensus on the increasing occurrence of extreme weather events. The impacts of these disasters extend beyond immediate physical damage, affecting communities, economies, and ecosystems. Research also emphasizes the immense importance of addressing environmental issues to mitigate the severity and frequency of natural disasters. Sustainable practices such as reducing greenhouse gas emissions, protecting natural habitats, and adopting resilient, environmentally friendly infrastructure are all crucial for building protective and preventative measures against the impacts of climate change. The prediction also coincides with global efforts to address environmental challenges. Several international agreements aim to limit global temperature increases and promote sustainable development. The urgency to implement and enforce these measures remains a critical aspect of mitigating the environmental factors contributing to severe weather events. As Baba Vanga's prediction resonates with the observable trends in our environment, it reinforces the need for collective action to address climate change. The ongoing conversation on environmental conservation and sustainable practices reflects a global recognition of the challenges derived from the quickly changing climate and the importance of proactive measures to protect our planet and its inhabitants.
Number 5. Oh great, more viruses. Considering how ill-prepared we turned out to be for the last super virus that ravaged the world, the idea of more viruses in the future is somehow equal parts terrifying and exhausting. Baba Vanga actually predicts a few different viruses will come to light, but the soonest will not affect humans, though it is still disturbing. According to Baba, in 2023, birds will be subjected to a deadly virus that will transmit through both the air and contaminated water. It will spread incredibly fast, wiping out entire flocks in weeks and leaving many species of bird on the brink of extinction. Scientists will apparently scramble to try and find a cure for our avian friends, but the now common sight of a flock of birds flying through the air will become a distant memory. This doesn't directly affect humans, but considering how much chicken we as a species eat, this will be a tough loss if it comes to pass. The next virus Baba Vanga predicts will apparently take hold in 2088 and will be unlike anything we've ever seen. It won't cause humans to have trouble breathing or for their immune systems to be compromised, but will apparently cause people to age extremely rapidly, resulting in a young person in their 20s looking like a senior citizen within a few seconds. This virus will apparently be an issue for humanity for almost 10 years, when it is apparently exterminated in 2097. We will then apparently get a break from pandemics until the year 2256, when a rocket sent to explore the deepest parts of the cosmos will return to Earth carrying an intergalactic virus. Hopefully, this virus won't be too intense, as a universal cure for all diseases isn't predicted until the year 4304. Though by then, Baba Vanga says that humans will no longer live on Earth, but on Mars, so make of that what you will. Number 4. A dangerous bioweapon. In 1925, the Geneva Convention decided to ban the use of biological weapons in war, with all the countries making a promise to never, under any circumstances, develop, produce, stockpile, or otherwise acquire or retain microbial or other biological agents or toxins, whatever their origin or method of production, of types and in quantities that have no justification for prophylactic, protective, or other peaceful purposes. They also agreed not to develop weapons, equipment, or means of delivery designed to use such agents or toxins for hostile purposes, or in armed combat. For the most part, the countries of the world have stuck to this agreement, other than some outliers such as the Soviet Union and Iraq. Unfortunately, one of Baba Vanga's other predictions for 2023 says that a large country will begin testing a new bioweapon. She is sparse on the details, but if this is true, which of the large nations will be carrying out the test? Will it be Russia, the United States, China? Who? And what is the nature of this bioweapon? Does it contain lab-grown viruses that could wreak havoc on humanity, or some other deadly mutagen that could permanently alter the DNA of its victims? Although she has had a few predictions that came true, Baba Vanga also said that World War III would begin in 2010, and that by 2016, Europe would become an empty wasteland. So hopefully, this is one of the predictions that turns out to not be true, as the idea of chemical weapons being unleashed this year is simply too much much for me to deal with on top of everything else going on. Number 3. A change in the Earth's orbit. There's a lot of wonderful things to like about the planet Earth. Lush fields, flowing water, and its orbit exactly where it should be, which is quite an underrated but fantastic trait of the big blue marble we call home. Baba Vanga made another worrying prediction about the state of the Earth for 2023. She predicted that somehow something is going to knock Earth off of its orbit forever. Now, it should go without saying that something knocking Earth off of its orbit would be very bad. If Earth somehow was thrown off its orbit by some terrible force, it would wreak incalculable havoc. Countries would be thrown into cycles of days and nights that would last not for hours, but for months at a time. Think of the damage that would be caused. Unending daylight would lead to mass sleep deprivation, global anxiety, as well as incalculable damage to our flora, fauna, and wildlife. Crops would be ravaged and burnt, leading to a global famine. Unending days would lead to temperatures doubling, melting the ice caps at an even faster rate than they already are. This would result in massively rising sea levels and the flooding of coastal cities. Unending night wouldn't be much better, as it would make things very cold, and plant life would have no way to achieve the necessary photosynthesis, resulting in crop failures and once again, countless deaths. Interestingly, this is a recognized phenomenon called a polar night, and there's a town in Norway that experiences something like this. In Tromsø, the sun doesn't rise from November to January. While this is fine for a Norwegian town, a polar night taking place in the bread bowl is a recipe for disaster, and that's not even mentioning how much easier that would make it for vampires to attack us. Number 2. A solar storm. With all the rather dire predictions made by Baba Vanga, it could be tempting to call her a pessimist. One of her more devastating predictions for the year ahead is that we will experience what is known as a solar storm. A solar storm refers to phenomena taking place on the surface of the sun, such as coronal mass ejections or solar flares. If one of these coronal mass ejections were to reach Earth, it would cause a geomagnetic storm that would have horrible consequences for our technology-reliant world. This kind of storm has happened before on Earth in 1859 in what has since been called the Carrington event, due to the work of astronomer Richard Carrington. It resulted in telegraph networks being knocked out, as well as people using electronics being electrocuted, and even some pretty nasty fires. But it would be much worse if it happened today. Imagine, if you will, a world where all of the technology you take for granted was suddenly fried and unusable. Suddenly, internet access and records would be lost. Communication systems that we have come to rely on to keep our world running would become useless blocks of dead machinery. A world of darkness where chaos reigns and the financial markets are suddenly put into a dramatic tailspin that we could not even begin to reverse the effects of for years. Think of the chaos that took place relatively recently in Texas when the power grid went down, and imagine what would happen if that took place all over the world. The effect of this happening now could be no less than the total collapse of modern society. This is one of the most plausible predictions made by Baba Vanga, as some scientists say that since this kind of solar activity has happened before, we are overdue for it to happen again, and that is a matter not of if, but rather of when it happens. Considering the disastrous global consequences of one of these severe solar storms, let us hope that Baba Vanga is incorrect in her prediction that this will happen in 2023. Number 1. An alien invasion. One of Baba Vanga's most surprising predictions for 2023 is that this is the year we will make contact with visitors from another world. Unfortunately for us, these visitors will apparently not be coming in peace. She says that aliens will attack the Earth, and that during their invasion, they will use technology in order to prevent us from using electricity for 3 days and 3 nights, and that the Earth will be plunged into total darkness, with neither the moon or the stars being visible. We've already gone over how reliant we are on technology in the previous entry, so imagine how difficult it would be for us to suddenly be thrown back to the Stone Age, and then have to try and fight an alien race who have extremely advanced technology, as well as a desire to kill us. Baba Vanga claims that this will not be the end of the species as a whole, and that 10,000 of us will survive. But considering that we currently have a planet-wide population of 7.8 billion people, 10,000 survivors indicates only a 1.28% survival rate, meaning that for all practical purposes, it would be the end of the world as we know it. Apparently, peace with extraterrestrials is something we will eventually achieve, as Baba Vanga predicts that in the year 2130, aliens will be helping us to construct underwater cities, which will manage to become autonomous by producing their own power and food by 2195. These underwater cities are even more impressive when you consider that Baba Vanga also predicts that the Earth will become dry and desertified by 2170. Baba Vanga also predicts that in the year 2288, humanity will discover time travel, and that this is when aliens and humans will make contact. Which is interesting, as she already said that the first contact in war with the aliens would happen 265 years prior. And if this is first contact, who are the aliens helping us build the underwater cities on the dry desert planet of Earth 158 years earlier in 2130? Do all these contradictions have anything to do with the time travel we will discover? Truly, Baba Vanga gets more and more mysterious as time goes by.
Number 5, global warming. Well, who doesn't fear that? So this year, Nostradamus predicted that temperatures would rise further and sea levels would rise to unexpected levels. He wrote, "Like the sun, the head shall see, or the shining sea, the black seas, living fish shall all but boil. When Rhodes and Genoa half-starved shall be, the local folk to cut them up shall toil." Look, I believe this one, seeing as, back in October there was a weekend where it was super warm one night and then freezing the next. I was working outdoors, and the drastic change in temperatures massively confused my brain. And also, just like hot and cold, headache city. With the current cost of living crisis and global warming on the rise, civil unrest could also reach new heights. Nostradamus also said, "Sooner and later you will see great changes made, dreadful horrors and vengeance." Also, in addition, the trumpet shakes with great discord. An agreement broken, lifting the face to heaven, the mouth will swim with redness, the face anointed with milk, and honey lies on the ground. So this prediction implies that a revolt against the wealthy may occur as people fight back against the deteriorating economy. Yes, it might not be end of the world, but hey, where do I sign up? Seriously, the price of gas, rent, and groceries is completely ridiculous right now. I was excited last night that my grocery bill was under $200 for one person. Number 4, human birth in laboratories. Yep, somebody out there predicted that human spawn would be born in labs where their physical appearance and character can be controlled, completely altering the process of birth. So, who predicted this, might you ask? This wild prediction comes to us courtesy of famed mystic Baba Vanga. For those who might be unaware, she was a Bulgarian mystic and herbalist who passed away in 1996 and predicted her own death, the death of Princess Diana, and more. She became blind early in life and spent most of her life in the Rupite area of the Koza Mountains in Bulgaria. In the late 70s and early 80s, she was widely known in Eastern Europe for her abilities of clairvoyance and precognition. Before she passed, she left a list of predictions until the year 5079. Now look, I can hear you doubting me, and also, why is this the end of the world? Don't worry, I'll get to it. Just pause. In December of last year, a new conceptual facility named Ectolife made some major waves in the news. Oh, why is that, you ask? So they're advertising themselves as the world's first ever artificial womb facility, offering a way for parents to produce customized offspring. Yet this isn't The Sims, it's not like a video game. It's reality. This concept is thanks to Hashem Al-Ghaili, who is a science communicator and molecular biologist by trade. The concept of Ectolife is allegedly based on over 50 years of groundbreaking scientific research. The facility would run on renewable energy and plans to house 75 labs, each equipped with up to 400 growth pods or artificial wombs, which are designed to provide the same environment that is present inside, well, a womb. Parents will be able to keep track of their little one's growth and development through a screen on the pods that showcases real-time data, and that data will also be available to monitor through an app, because we all need apps these days. The artificial intelligence-based system can be used to monitor the physical features of the little one and will report any potential genetic abnormalities. During the time of delivery, the youngling can be removed from the pod with the push of a button. Now, Hashem believes the artificial womb facilities could become a reality in 10 years or so if ethical restrictions are removed, claiming that every feature mentioned in the concept is 100% science-based and has already been achieved by scientists and engineers. And hey, if that isn't good enough for you, he's also promising an elite package that would allow people to genetically engineer the embryo before implanting it into the artificial womb, which this is all starting to get a little too sci-fi horror for my liking, in my personal opinion. Parents will be able to select their spawn's level of intelligence, height, hair, eye color, physical strength, and skin tone. Oh, and somehow it's also going to let parents fix any inherited genetic diseases, and as somebody with ADHD, I would like to know more on that. Ectolife's goal is apparently to provide an option for parents to have little ones without ever going through pregnancy or even conception. Hashem claims the artificial womb facility could help countries facing the problem of a declining population such as Japan, Bulgaria, and South Korea, among others. It will also aim to facilitate infertile couples to become parents of their own biological offspring. Look, before my eyes roll out of my head, we're getting close. Some folks who consider themselves experts have been consulted in this, and claim the technology isn't that far-fetched and could become a reality in the future. For example, Andrew Shannon, a professor of obstetrics, has said that from a theoretical standpoint, it's possible. It's just a matter of providing a correct environment with fuel and oxygen, and he thinks the technologies are there to be able to achieve it. He's mentioned that there are a lot of examples where, little ones come out of the womb extremely early and are very well looked after in incubators, which he compared to this alleged technology. Look, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little skeptical, very skeptical about this and just how ableist it sounds, but let me know in the comments what you all think of this possibility. And before anybody asks, once again, how could this be related to the end of the world? How could it not? With that kind of technology? Seriously? Nobody's gonna use it for evil? Number 3, the AI revolution. So this is the one listing on today's list that actually came from a combination of Nostradamus and ChatGPT. And this is where I admit I'm not any kind of AI overall expert. The AI warned that humans might fall into fear and anxiety of the artificial intelligence revolution in the year 2060. The prediction says, specifically, in 2060, robots and machines will develop. It will be a vibrant revolution. Industries must be reshaped all over the world. But fear and anxiety will also loom, as jobs and futures are lost. A person must adapt and learn again to coexist with and penetrate technology. Oh, that's just terrifying. Learn to coexist with? I have a feeling it's not talking about simply introducing grandparents to how a smartphone works. Hey look, before recently, all I knew about ChatGPT was the occasional meme. And I had a friend once ask me if I used it to write what I chat about, and no. I promise you all, these are my words, my fumbles, my little, isms. Yes, I'm the kind of gal who will say stuff like cripes and Euclid on a regular basis. Trust me, ask any of my friends. You might be asking, okay Alex, that's cute and all, but how is it relevant to the end of the world? Well, has anybody seen iRobot? Or done any research on ChatGPT? For the folks like me who had no idea on what the heck the basis of ChatGPT was until now, allow me to share what I've learned. So ChatGPT, which is short for Chat Generative Pre-trained Transformer, was developed by OpenAI and launched on November 30th of 2022. So it's not even a year old yet. The goal of the, existence of this thing is to enable users to refine and steer a conversation towards a desired length, format, style, level of detail, and language used. Successive prompts and replies are taken into account at each stage of the conversation as a context. Now, by January earlier this year, it had become the fastest growing consumer software application in history, gaining over 100 million users. That's a lot of people. Within months, Google, Baidu, and Meta accelerated the development of their competing products, Palm-E, ErnieBot, and Llama. Some folks have expressed concern over the potential of ChatGPT to displace or atrophy human intelligence, and I'm on that team for sure. Oh, going back to mentioning iRobot, because I sure as heck wasn't gonna leave that as a statement without a follow-up. If that movie taught me anything, other than, how underrated Alan Tudyk is as an actor, it's that over-reliance and giving way too much agency to AI technology is gonna cause the end of the world, in a cluster mess of epic proportions. Seriously. In addition, the TikTok account Robot Overlords claims to have asked AI how it's going to take over the world. Because, that's not going to produce any kind of nightmares whatsoever. The TikToker hasn't clearly stated which AI was used to generate the images that they used, but they did use the hashtag DALL-E2, so I'm assuming it's the same bot, that has been known for making alien predictions. I don't like that. Not a fan. Number 2, a possible change in the Earth's orbit. So, did the path that the Earth takes around the sun alter this year? And according to Bioweapons, it might be doing just that. So yes, we're going back to her. I know a lot of the same people that are making the prophecies. I promise, they're credible. So this is a particular intriguing prophecy and one that would have ramifications for us all. Yes, it might be a little more far-fetched, but come on, it's terrifying. So, for reference, our planet travels 584 million miles around the sun every year, an epic voyage that is shaped like an oval rather than a perfect circle. The precise shape of the oval is influenced by other planets' gravitational forces. To take all the sciencey stuff away, the Earth's orbit can and actually does shift. However, such changes usually take place across many thousands of years. The effects of even subtle, slow changes can be severe. So for example, it's been theorized that an orbital shift contributed to the Paleocene-Eocene thermal maximum. The period of intense global warming that took place almost 56 million years ago. The dinosaurs. Ringing any bells? If a radical shift occurred over the course of a single year, for whatever reason though, the effects would be apocalyptic. You can see why scientists are a little afraid, eh? There might be soaring temperatures and radiation levels with terrible environmental consequences. And that's putting aside the possibility that the orbital shift hinted at by Baba Vanga might be caused by an asteroid impact, which could well be an extinction level event. Look, I love dinosaurs as much as the next person. I really do. I love my ankylosauruses, but I really don't want to repeat their history. And I don't do well in extreme heat at all. The reason this prophecy made today's list, even though it technically hasn't been proven by science yet, we know scientists are afraid, it's also because of just how warm the world has been this year compared to years past. I know I've mentioned it in detail already today, but honest to goodness, I'm afraid, scientists are afraid, you should be afraid. Number 1, a solar storm. So one of the most alarming predictions from, once again, Baba Vanga herself has to do with a solar storm which could have catastrophic consequences. For reference, the term solar storm can refer to several phenomena on the sun's surface, including solar flares and coronal mass ejections. The latter are vast eruptions of plasma that are capable of reaching the Earth, causing geomagnetic storms that could potentially fry power grids and, cause widespread havoc. No big. The most dramatic example in recorded history was the Carrington event of 1859. Named after British astronomer Richard Carrington, it knocked out telegraph networks and even caused fires and electric shocks. If such an event were to happen today in our very electrified world, the effects on communications, services, and everyday lives would be almost unfathomable. Experts believe the damage to worldwide infrastructures could lead to blackouts that last for years, triggering societal chaos and causing financial markets to go into a tailspin that would dwarf anything seen before. So I hate to say it, but this prediction is already sort of coming true. Based on observations made by Dr. Erica Palmerio, a research specialist who specializes in this sort of thing, there's a magnetic filament near the equator of the sun that's currently bustling with a huge amount of magnetic field lines. This means that it can soon erupt and send another wave of solar storm towards our planet. The presence of such powerful streamers is an indication of the increased solar activity, which was not predicted by many forecasters for solar cycle 25. If this streamer goes out, it will release a huge amount of radiation and magnetic energy that can disrupt shortwave radio communication on Earth and cause a dangerous solar storm. We've already had 2 severe geomagnetic storms this year, the most recent being on April 21st when a coronal mass ejection, or CME for short, erupted from the sun, spewing out a burst of plasma that raced towards Earth at nearly 2 million miles per hour. Once again, 2 million miles. We get more of that, it's the end for all of us.
Number 5. War. What is it good for? 7 months the Great War. People dead of evil doing. Ruin ever shall not fall to the king. Now, if you've watched any of our previous videos on Nostradamus and other end-of-the-world prediction-style videos, you know that Nostradamus and the other seers tended to keep their predictions pretty vague, but sometimes they spelled it out simple enough that even a simpleton like me can follow along. Nostradamus is predicting a big war, a great war even, in size, not in quality. I don't think there was ever a great war. If the quatrain is anything to go off of, Nostradamus predicts that the war will erupt across Europe and then ravage the countryside while hopefully keeping the city of Rouen, France in a good spot, and will refuse to fall to the king. Now that part is open to a little bit of interpretation because really that could mean anything. Who could the king be referring to? Is it one particular world leader? One nation vying for power? Is it the Burger King mascot who's finally snapped and is on a warpath of world domination? He's easily the most unhinged and dangerous of all fast food mascots and the one I would most expect to start a war. Now, this is obviously a delicate subject, but the current situations across Eastern Europe is already cause for enough alarm. A war that's got everybody on their toes and watching the news constantly. And I don't think anyone wants to see it develop further into a proverbial Great War. A 7-month Great War sounds like it'd be over in a flash, but I think the last thing anyone wants is a war that's over in a flash, knowing the nuclear-powered arsenals out there. Shorter war is not necessarily a good thing. Nuclear annihilation is kind of the last thing anybody needs out there. Hey, hope I'm not bumming you out too much, talking about global conflicts and possibly the end of the world. Let's talk about something fun, like our fun channel. We got all sorts of scary content of just about any topic you can think of. So click through, stay scared, but stay watching this video, because we got a whole lot more predictions left to go. Number 4, Mars and Elon Musk. Listen to this quatrain. The 2 contenders will unite together. When most others unite with Mars, the African leader is fearful and trembles. The dual alliance is separated by the fleet. This one seems too perfect, you know? Immediately as I read that quatrain, maybe you made the same connection too. Mars, African leader? Immediately coming to my mind is Elon Musk, the South African billionaire tycoon who currently owns Twitter and has been extremely outspoken about his desire to flee this planet and to become the king and colonize the red planet of Mars. But who are these 2 contenders that have to unite together? Could it be referring to global superpowers coming together for the future of humanity? Or is it Facebook and Twitter coming together and he's just looking to buy more social medias? Some professional followers of Nostradamus' work, such as Lori Reading, has argued in favor of this as well, arguing that this is referring to the billionaire's plans for galactic domination. Another quatrain seems almost connected with this line from another verse. Take a listen. The light of Mars shall go out. Could this be again a reference to the mission? A suggestion that perhaps this dream of Mars is just that, a foolish dream, and that a colony on Mars would fail in upon itself. It also links up bizarrely well with the Opportunity rover. If you remember that from a few years back, the little guy who was rolling around the surface of Mars, its last transmission was, "My battery is fading and I'm going dark," which is almost like directly saying a light of Mars is going out. This is actually starting to creep me out here. Nostradamus might have been magic just a little bit. Time will tell, obviously, if this one remains to be true, although after Twitter, I don't know. I'm not so sure. I don't know if I want to pay $8 a month to subscribe to Mars Blue for a checkmark. Number 3, more plague. Oh, that's the last thing any of us need. Well, take a listen to this doom prophecy. Near the gates and within 2 cities, there will be 2 scourges, the likes of which has never seen. Famine within plague, people put out by steel, crying to the great immortal God for relief. Well, this doesn't sound fun at all. I'm not sure anybody wants this. I'm pretty sure everyone watching this has experienced more than enough plagues to last us a lifetime. Of course, it's unfortunately kind of foolhardy to think that humanity will never experience another viral epidemic because, well, germs are always going to exist unless we eradicate them entirely. So all we can do is brace ourselves for the next one and hopefully learn from the past. I mean, that's why we're looking all the way back to an old French astronomer who was writing things in the 15th century, and the off chance that any of it might help us out. Well, he might be on the money with this one again, because recently in 2021, researchers in Siberia uncovered in a block of ice 33 strains of ancient novel viruses. Now, novel means that they haven't been discovered before, not that they're just kind of fun and no trivia. Personally, I would put them back in the iceberg, I think, and then I would put like a tarp or maybe some tape over it. I think we should just deal with that where it is, and we should not be bringing any ancient prehistoric viruses into today's times. I think I'm good. Now, what really concerns me about this quatrain is the picture that it paints. Near the gates and within 2 cities, the people will be put out by steel, crying to the great immortal God for relief. Oh, that's dramatic. Could this be a reference to some power taking out its own citizens? Armies firing at infected individuals? Now, it could be that, but it could also be possible that Nostradamus somehow had a powerful vision into the future and he was just watching an episode of The Last of Us and he was basing his predictions around that. Good on him for not spoiling that series for 500 years. Number 2, economic crisis. Take a listen to this. No abbots, monks, no novices to learn. Honey shall cost far more than candle wax. So high the price of wheat that man is stirred to eat his fellow man in despair. Now, I'm not an economist. I'm a YouTuber, sort of. But I don't need to be an economist to tell you that things have been getting pretty expensive and everyone's feeling their purse strings tighten up. I can't tell you how many times this week I've had pasta with no sauce for dinner. Admittedly, I don't buy a ton of honey or candle wax, so I can't really comment on how accurate that all is, but I can definitely tell you that my weekly groceries are getting a lot more expensive. The fear, of course, here is that I think eating your fellow man in despair really does not sound like the good option. Now, there are a couple different ways we could take this interpretation. We could take it very literally, suggesting that things are going to get so dire and so bad that we'll have so little food to go around that we're forced to consume one another to survive, which really doesn't sound pleasant. And while I'm talking, I'd just like to throw out here, I am way too stringy to be valuable as meat. I mean, look at me, I'm like a bird, I'm hollow, so I wouldn't make a good meal out of me at all, so don't even bother trying over here. Alternatively, it could be interpreted in a more esoteric way. And since he's an old astronomer, I'm sure he spoke esoterically most of the time. He could be referring to the idea of eating the rich. If people get so fed up with the costs of living on just about everything and decide to revolt and strike back at the people in charge, hoping to dismantle the systems in place, which, hey, funny enough, actually leads into a segue for my next point really well. It's almost like I set that up. Number 1, great discord. Take a listen. The trumpet shakes with great discord, an agreement broken, lifting the face to heaven. The bloody mouth will swim with blood, the face anointed with milk and honey lies on the ground. Like most of Nostradamus' writings, this one does sound a bit like it's the opening monologue to one of the Lord of the Rings movies, and wow, honey again. Honey was like a really serious cause of concern for this guy. I think he might not have been an astronomer. He might just have been a man who took his morning tea incredibly seriously. So besides crying over spilled milk and honey, what do our great Nostradamus experts have to say about this one? Was Nostradamus banned from his Discord server and writing against the tyrannical mods? Well, like all of the ones on this list, this unnerving prediction seems to suggest that dire violence will come to plague us, with unrest between the masses and classes leading to full-scale rebellion and riots. This little ditty seems to support that, with Nostradamus writing that sooner and later you will see great changes made, dreadful horrors, and vengeances. Well, I support great changes, definitely. I'm a huge fan of great changes, but I am not so sure about dreadful horrors and vengeances. I feel like I've seen more than enough of those. The last few years have seen more civil unrest than ever. Like, this is the most upset I've seen people in my life, at least. With it seeming like that somewhere around the world there's a mass scale protest or riot every couple of weeks. You know, it's easy to flick on the news and you see that and wonder if eventually we're gonna hit a boiling point and we'll see some of those horrifying horrors and vengeances and all those mal thoughts that he was thinking up. And when it does, if we'll see some serious changes, or hey, at the very least, maybe some positive progress towards the price of honey, because apparently that's the most important cause in the world.
Number 5, music mind control. So in a 2001 episode of The Simpsons, Bart and his friends form a new band that unwittingly becomes part of a psychological operations project by the Navy Department. The band's purpose is to disseminate subliminal messages to young folks through their music. And their most popular track in this episode is titled Drop Da Explosive, you know, with the B. Now, as we know, The Simpsons has gained quite the reputation for predicting future events, so some people speculate that the portrayal of a psyops project involving subliminal messages in music might not be entirely far-fetched. We all remember Josie and the Pussycats, right? That was happening there. The concept raises questions about the power of music and its potential impact on shaping beliefs and behaviors, echoing concerns that have been expressed over the years about the influence of media, including music, on young minds. Research on the impact of music on individuals has yielded mixed findings. While some studies suggest that music can influence mood, behavior, and even cognitive abilities, the idea of subliminal messages in music having a significant and lasting effect is widely debated within the scientific community. Even the concept of subliminal messaging itself is controversial, with limited evidence supporting its efficiency in the real world. The idea that, like hip-hop lyrics in particular, may have a brainwashing effect has been a topic of discussion amongst various groups. Some folks argue that certain lyrics perpetuate negative stereotypes and glamorize harmful behaviors, potentially influencing vulnerable individuals. On the other hand, most hip-hop creations emphasize artistic expression, storytelling, and of course, cultural significance, challenging the notion of a direct link between lyrics and behavioral outcomes. This episode from '01 taps into the cultural fascination with the potential influence of music on individuals, and definitely leaves us curious about whether or not this is something we may see in the near future. Once again, I repeat, Josie and the Pussycats did it as well. Number 4, suppression of green energy. So in episode 582, the character of Lisa creates a solar-powered car for the alternative energy derby, but her vehicle's demise occurs when the Duff blimp obstructs the sun, raising questions about corporate interests hindering the advancement of green energy. Concerns about corporations impeding the popularity of green energy are obviously not fictional. In reality, several industries have displayed interest in maintaining the status quo of non-renewable energy sources for their own monetary gain. Let's just take, fossil fuel companies for instance. They thrive on the continued consumption of oil, gas, and coal. The shift towards green energy would jeopardize their dominance in the market, leading to corporate resistance against widespread adoption in the general population. Major automotive companies, invested heavily in traditional combustion engine technologies, and the rise of electric vehicles poses a direct threat to their established market share and profitability. As green energy gains momentum, some of these corporations may resist the transition in a selfish attempt to protect their existing business models. Utility companies reliant on conventional power generation methods could also oppose widespread adoptions of renewable energy. The anti-monetary nature of renewable sources like solar and wind threatens the power distribution systems they have long controlled and dominated. This potential loss of control and revenue could motivate these companies to resist the transition to green energy. As always, political factors play a role in hindering the growth of, green energy. Some governments have historically maintained close ties with fossil fuel industries, often influencing policies that favor non-renewable energy sources. Pipelines that destroy ecosystems in people's homes? The power and financial contributions of these industries further complicate the possible transition to greener energy landscapes. The episode from The Simpsons may simply be a humorous take on the potential influence of corporate interests in, impeding the progress of green energy, but sadly, in reality, industries such as fossil fuels, automotive, and utilities have financial and structural reasons to resist the widespread adoption of renewable energy sources. So yeah, not too far-fetched in my opinion. Personally, I've always said the reason we don't have flying cars is because, well, that would take away a lot of money from big corporations, and big corporations don't like losing money. We've all been watching the strikes this year, right? Number 3, robot takeover. In 2012, The Simpsons made a prediction about mass automation. A fancy way of saying they depicted a world where robots replaced human workers, which is a scenario that seems increasingly plausible with every day that passes. Also, back in 1994, in an episode titled Itchy and Scratchy Land, the show ventured into the realm of AI. The Simpson family visited a theme park staffed with robots that ultimately malfunctioned, leading to a scary and chaotic outcome. This fictional portrayal of a robot uprising bears an eerie resemblance to the concerns raised by a man who is often hailed as the father of artificial intelligence. And yes, this man has a name, but I can only pronounce it once. Schmidt-Huber. He anticipates that AI superintelligence will usher in rapid technological advancements, bringing about profound transformations in society within a mere 30 years. And we're seeing AI more and more these days. His prediction aligns with the current trajectory of AI development. So as technology continues to evolve, urges society to navigate the evolving landscape of technology with extreme caution. Signs of robotic automation are already prevalent, supporting The Simpsons' prophetic vision. Machines and algorithms are assuming roles traditionally held by humans, sparking debates about the future of manual human work. The fear of job displacement due to automation is mirroring the anxieties portrayed, in the animated series. Discussions about AI ethics and regulation are gaining traction. Policymakers and experts grapple with the challenge of striking a balance between innovation and the responsible deployment of AI. The need for proactive measures to manage the potential risks associated with unchecked technological growth is pretty clear. The Simpsons foresaw a world where automation disrupts the workforce, and we're living in a world where this notion is becoming more and more obvious each day. Robots causing displacement in 2024? Not too far off. Once again, do we all remember iRobot? Did that not teach you anything? Other than, Alan Tudyk is severely underrated. Number 2, everything. So in this episode's futuristic setting, Homer and Marge indulge in virtual fudge through VR glasses and feeding tubes. Despite the virtual nature and the promise of no calories, Homer's love for junk food remains unabated. In a bizarre turn of events, Mr. Burns hires the Simpsons to become his live-in virtual reality family. However, an interesting twist unfolds as Homer is deliberately excluded from this virtual family setup, allowing Mr. Burns to assume the role of the father. Left in solitude, Homer discovers a new companion in Julia, his girl next door neighbor, who shares his habits and preferences in eating, drinking, and thinking. Royal Caribbean is exploring the integration of virtual reality into the dining experience for cruise line guests. The concept involves transporting diners to different settings with each bite, offering a unique and immersive culinary journey. Cornell University's food scientists have delved into the realm of virtual reality as well, discovering that consuming cheese in a pleasant VR environment enhances the overall taste experience. So this narrative in The Simpsons reflects a speculation about the direction in which our world might be heading. The show imagines a future where virtual reality infiltrates everyday life, not only in entertainment and dining, but also in the dynamics of personal relationships. The example of a virtual family for hire mirrors the newfound reliance on technology for social interactions, and the blurring lines between reality and simulation. The exploration of VR-enhanced dining experiences by real-world entities like Royal Caribbean aligns with the show's previously mirrored satirical take on technological advancements. It highlights society's fascination with merging the virtual and physical realms, seeking to elevate mundane activities such as eating into otherworldly multisensory experiences, which is just, I'm not gonna get into it. You don't need to hear me vent for a million years and a half, but goodness gracious. Yes, The Simpsons mainly serves as a satirical mirror reflecting contemporary trends and societal obsessions, but with each passing year, their previous observations look a little less satirical and a lot more literal. Remember when they predicted that Disney was gonna own them? That one boggled my mind. Number 1, environmental disaster. So The Simpsons movie portrays an environmental catastrophe triggered by Homer Simpson's reckless disposal of pig waste into Springfield Lake, which exacerbates an already critical pollution situation. The event leads to a response from the president, who encapsulates the entire town of Springfield under a glass dome to contain the contamination. While the movie's plot takes an exaggerated and implausible turn, the underlying environmental concerns it raises do resonate with real-world issues. The film's premise parallels actual environmental crises, where water pollution has posed pose significant threats to communities and ecosystems globally. The dumping of pollutants into water bodies like Homer's Careless Act has led to severe consequences in various regions. The movie's exaggerated scenario, of course, serves as a satirical reflection of the potential severity of such pollution incidents, but it's becoming more uncanny. Instances of deadly levels of contaminated water are not confined to fiction. Numerous documented cases worldwide showcase the devastating impact of industrial and agricultural runoff, sewage discharges, and hazardous waste disposal on water quality. From toxic algae blooms to chemical contaminants, water pollution remains a pressing global concern with far-reaching ecological and public health implications. The concept of enclosing a town under a giant glass dome may seem far-fetched, but it prompts contemplation on the drastic measures that might be considered in response to escalating environmental crises. Communities facing extreme pollution levels often witness stringent containment measures. Though not as theatrical as a transparent dome, this isn't the phase. If you got that reference, I adore you. They may feel like that at times. Environmental regulations, water treatment plants, and cleanup efforts are often implemented to control the damage caused by pollution, emphasizing the importance of proactive measures opposed to reactive in safeguarding public health and ecosystems. As environmental challenges remain prominent, the film's exaggerated portrayal acts as a reminder of the urgent need for responsible environmental stewardship. Whether it's a contamination of water sources or broader issues such as climate change, the movie's underlying message aligns with the ongoing global discourse on the importance of sustainable practices and the consequences of failing to address environmental issues effectively, which isn't really being done. So 2024, environmental disaster, here we come!